Okay, let's talk about coupling credits. This is a concept and it's an idea that is really powerful to start integrating in your dynamics, in your mindsets. Coupling credits, it's like a potential of energy. How many coupling credits do you have right now in your relationship? If you're a couple, right? Imagine that you can have 100 coupling credits or even more, right? Keep on rising. And when you are doing something with your partner, for instance, if you have a beautiful night of lovemaking, then you are going to add coupling credits. Boom, that's it. You add 100 coupling credits to this beautiful account that you have for your relationship. And then imagine that at some point you have tension rising and then boom, you go into a big fight. You end up being really triggered and drained by the whole conversation. By the end of the day, you go like, oh, I don't think I can do that. So within a day, you completely burned your coupling credits. And then the following day, you wake up and you have a gentle breakfast with your partner. You share what happened over there and you process a little bit more. And then that makes you feel a little bit better. So you add a little 20 coupling credits back, you start rebuilding. So the question that you want to ask yourself when you are in interaction with your partner is this: are we adding credits right now? Or are we burning credits? It's a very simple question to ask yourself. Are you adding credits or are you burning them down? And if you are burning the credits right now, I encourage you to just take a pause, take a stop. Like right now, you're burning the credits and you are actually losing the energy and the connection with your partner. You can burn some credits, right? Sometimes you're going to have a fight and sometimes there is going to be some intensity and this can be okay. It can happen. In my experience, you can have, I would say, probably 20% of shadows in a relationship, 80% of really positive, beautiful energy, be in light mode, be in really connection mode, in power mode, and all that. And then every now and then have some shadows that come to the surface. For instance, if you are really in resonance out of a week and you are in resonance 4 days and then 1 day out of resonance, and you are a bit in shadows and trigger, you don't talk too much to each other, there is some triggers going on, that's something that your relationship can take. If you are 50% of the time in joy, pleasure, and so on, and 50% of the time in shadow, that's the breaking point. It's like 50-50. It's 50% pain, 50% pleasure. That's the moment where if you cross the line and you add a little bit of shadows, then that's it. That's probably the end of the relationship. Why? Because it's no longer fun. It's no longer regenerating. Your spirit comes from above and says, okay, we're going to get you out of there. There's going to be some cheating episode. Something's going to happen. Or you're just going to put the foot down and say, okay, enough. I suffered enough. This is not fun. I don't want to do that anymore. And then you step out of the relationship and you find another partner or stay single for a while. So this idea of coupling credits, it's a really good concept to put in your mind, or a good idea to start integrating that vision in your relationship. Ask yourself, are we building up or are we decreasing and destroying and breaking down the relationship? And something that you can ask yourself as well right now, if you are in a relationship, is how high do you score? Imagine that 1,000 credits is the maximum that you can have in your relationship, right? How close are you to being at this peak experience where you are blossoming and in bliss all the time? Or are you closer to zero and even going into minus? Are you in debt? If you are getting into the debt zone, and if you are at minus 500, for instance, and you have been holding on to the relationship because of children, because of circumstance, because you cannot get out of it right now, then just realize that. Just try to make a quantitative estimation of where you're at, because it's really, really useful. If you have the feeling that you wake up in the morning and you're completely unhappy and drained and triggered and constantly, being attacked, or you are being abusive to your partner and so on. So ask yourself simply, within that range, where are you at? Where are your coupling credits? How much are they? And if you notice that you love building coupling credits, what are the things that are going to increase the coupling credits in your relationship? What is it that is going to add to your account? Well, romantic time, pleasant, fun experiences, having missions together, starting on projects together, building a business together, things like that. Those are the things that are going to increase your coupling capacity. And that way, once you start building up, then having every now and then a little shadow is something that your system can take. But, for sometimes when you are with somebody and you are in processing mode, right, you're talking about problems and practicalities and things that are not working, you're complaining, whether it's something that is happening in your relationship or it's happening in your own personal life, and you are using your partner for energetic and emotional support, you can do that a little bit. It's very nice for your partner to be able to support you. But when this is the core of your relationship, right? Imagine that you're having a hard time at work or a hard time emotionally, and then all that is being dumped in your relationship. Most of the times when we do that, we are going to burn the credits. And yes, it can be, interesting to go through some challenging experiences together. This can build up the bond. Sometimes it's a trauma bonding experience. For instance, if you have a very intense experience and you almost die in nature in some circumstances, that might be a very strong trauma bonding experience that is going to bring you closer to each other, right? But now when it's, shadows, you know what I'm talking about, being in this place which feels stagnant, it feels toxic, it feels unhealthy, it feels abusive, it feels a waste of your time and energy. So when you start moving into that and reaching this point of zero, there is no more credits. Then most of the times, instead of trying to force it and try deeper to reason it and to have conversations about it, then I encourage you just to do a check-in with your partner and say, you know what, at this stage I have the feeling it's no longer working. And if your partner goes like, you know what, no, we are really made for each other, we have to make this work, then you have to be ready to do what it takes to rebuild those coupling credits, to add back, the fun, the pleasure, the intimacy, the sex, all of that into the relationship, and start prioritizing the relationship. And then be mindful of the shadows when they come to the surface. You say, notice that right now there is some tension rising. I don't really want to fight with you. I have a feeling that it's going to waste our time and energy right now. Why don't we shift the energy? Listen, let's take a break for today. I'm going to go and process all that by myself, and then we come back and we meet again in the evening. Are you okay with that, right? So for instance, that's a healthy way of approaching it. Now, wanting to solve everything together, go back into this spinning machine of hurt and pain and processing is probably not much fun. So yeah, you get the picture, right? This is very intuitive, and everything that I'm saying right now, you probably feel it in the core of your relationship. You feel when you are thriving, when you are having fun, and when you are not, and you feel also this moment where there might be a breaking point. My guess is that at some point or another, there has been a breakup in your life, there has been maybe a divorce, there has been a separation from somebody you loved, and maybe you saw it coming. Maybe you go like, wow, this has been in the build-up for a few months, maybe for a few days, maybe a week or two. And the reason why we did break up is because we run out of credits. We run out of steam, we run out of energy, and the only solution was to take distance from each other because some fundamental incompatibility was there. So the reason why I'm giving you all of that is because I'm really passionate about relationships and coupling experiences. There is a lot to explore and a lot to understand. And the thing that really strikes me is that we can be, teenagers and have absolutely no idea, no education around coupling dynamics and how to build healthy relationships. We will have some vague dogmatic principles about maybe gender roles or things depending on the education, depending on where we were born and how we were born. But that's the thing that is really striking, is that there is very little education out there, or training or emotional training on how to deal with conflicts and how to build up the connection, how to be romantic with somebody. And so we have to discover that very intuitively. And what I can tell you is that after years and years of researching on these topics, I started coaching on that 20 years ago, that when I launched my coaching practice in 2002. And the thing that blows my mind is how many resources and tips and strategies we can tap into once we start researching into that. So my advice to you is this: if you are facing a challenge in your relationship, write them down. Write down the question that you have. Maybe you can check all that with the AI, ChatGPT, or DeepSeek, or one of those engines. You can go and check that over there, or you can send me the question as well. What are the questions that you are fundamentally facing in there, and start taking time to actually analyze. Just pause for a moment. Instead of being there rushing and complaining and talking about it with your friends and what's happening, and then you go into this spinning stories, projections, future projections, past projections, here's what happened. And so you are spinning into that space without discovering real, solid, long-term solutions that are going to solve really the challenge that you might be facing. So after years and years of experience, this is what I can tell you. It is that most of the times there is going to be some form of solutions or some way to break a cycle, a shadow cycle in your relationship. And sometimes it's break up. Sometimes you have two people who are together who are just not compatible on a certain level. It might be sexual, it might be lifestyle, it might be I'm just not turned on by you anymore. It could be that, right? So sometimes the breakup is a solution. But very, very often, this is what I notice. It is that for couples who really want to be together and they are facing some core challenges, there is a way for this to evolve. And in my relationships that I had, most of the times at the end of a relationship, when we decide to go our own ways, then I check back on the relationship and I go like, oh, well, here is what I would do differently if I was exposed to that situation again in the future. So there is constantly upgrades. There are ways of communicating, ways of engaging, ways of touching or sensualizing, ways of engaging in social situations together, ways of synchronizing missions, of launching things, having ideas, having fun, connecting, building up energy, creating mystical experiences in your relationship, diving deeper into the tantric experience, for instance, and so on. So there are always lots of pathways of evolution. Most of the times when I see a couple coming here who is facing big challenges, what I can tell you is this, it is that most of the times I look at it and I say, you guys, if there is compatibility, right? Sometimes there is incompatibility, and then I will openly point it out. But when there is compatibility, most of the times I see really profound potential that hasn't been expressed yet. I might look at a couple and say, well, right now you're at 50% of your potential. There is much more you can do to create connection, synergy, and resonance that you are not doing yet. So here are 3 techniques that you can start applying in your life that are going to potentially recreate the resonance between each other, rebuild the romantic sensations, and bring a whole new sense of beauty, joy, bliss in your relationship. Okay? If you feel that this is in resonance, reach out. We'll set up a call, a session, a quick check-in call. This is how I function usually. If you reach out and you feel like you want to work together, then we'll do a quick video chat, 15 minutes just to check in where you are, but we can design a strategy, a coaching strategy and a program for you. Okay? I love you so much. I'm here in Bali. It's sunny, and you hear the crickets in the background. And keep on rising with your couple. Romantic experiences are beautiful, and it's very important to take time to nurture all that and give it some love. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.